Hi everyone, I'm James. Welcome to BlackTieEnglish. In this video, I'm teaching you how to say words in English which end in OUGH and AUGH. So there are 8 pronunciations of the OUGH and there are 2 pronunciations of the AUGH. And the reason is a historical one. So there used to be a sound in English which was a k, and that was represented by the OUGH and the AUGH, and then the pronunciation has developed and left us with these 10 irregular pronunciations. So you have to just learn them off by heart. There's no tricks or cheats. It's just the way they are. One of those confusing things about English. So let's start, but just before we start, make sure you click subscribe, hit that red button. Now the first one is O. That's the O pronunciation of OUGH. And that rhymes with go or no. And the words in this category are though, although, and do. Now though and although are quite similar words. They basically mean however or but. So you could say something like, although it's raining, I'm going to go outside. So although and though, O pronunciation. Dough is a mixture of wheat and water, flour and water. So it's what you make bread out of. If you put dough into the oven, then what you will get is bread. Okay, so let's now look at OO, the OO pronunciation of the OUGH spelling. And there's just one word in this group, and that word is through. So it rhymes with to, through. Now, that's all there is to that group, so we'll move on to the third group, which is the group. Now that's the schwa sound, So it's the same sound as in about, about. It's the lazy sound. It's the most common sound in English, so you'll hear it a lot. And that's how you pronounce the OUGH in thorough and borough. So we say thorough, and borough. Thorough means complete or full. So if you do something thoroughly, it means you do it with care and you do it completely. And then borough is a word for a region or a small area in a town. So it's a bit like a village within a town, within a city. You get boroughs in cities all over the UK, and then you might have heard of the boroughs in New York, the borough of New York. Okay, now let's look at the OR sound of OUGH, and that rhymes with sort. So we've got 6 past participles or simple pasts. So we've got thought, which is the past participle of which verb? Think, exactly. I think, I thought. Then we've got bought. Now bought is the past participle of buy. So I buy some food, I bought some food. And the next one is the past participle of a different verb, but they look similar. So the only difference is the R between these 2 past participles, past simples, but brought is from the verb bring. So I bring some food to my friend, I brought some food to my friend. Don't confuse those because they can be very confusing. Bought and brought. And then we got fought. So fought is the past participle, the past simple of fight. So if you're in a boxing match, you fight someone, hopefully you don't have to fight anyone soon. I fight, I fought. Now these 2 are rarer, they're less common verbs, but you will come across them. So it's very useful to know how to pronounce them. Ought to is a modal verb, a modal phrase, and it's the equivalent of should. So I should do something, I ought to do something. So you'll still see it these days, but it's not as common as should. Finally, in this group, we've got sought, and it's the past participle of the verb seek. And seek is a rarer verb, a more formal way of saying to look for. So you could say something like, the company is seeking, the company seeks new employees, the company sought new employees, they looked for new employees. Okay, let's move on to the up pronunciation of OUGH. And there's only one in this category, and that is the word hiccup. So a hiccup is what happens when you eat too quickly. It's different from a burp, but that also happens if you eat too quickly. Hiccup is when you have that feeling you have to hiccup. So hiccup is pronounced with the cup up sound. You will see hiccup spelled like this as well. So more recently, people start to spell hiccup like this, so it reflects the pronunciation. Okay, now let's look at the ow pronunciation. So we've got words like drought and plough and bow. So a drought is what happens when there's no rain, when everything dries up. So unfortunately, many countries around the world suffer from droughts. That's when there's no water available. There's been no rain and people don't have anything to drink. Now, one thing which is important about drought is notice the O. So that's pronounced with an O sound, drought. But this word here, which has an A, is pronounced draft. So just keep those two in mind when you're looking at these words. Let's continue with the ow sound. So plough. Plough is something that a farmer uses on his fields. So you might have seen a machine that a cow will pull, and it will pull the machine through the soil, and the soil will be turned over. And sometimes they will put seeds in the soil to grow new plants, to grow new crops. So that's what a plough is, the machine. And then bough is a word I really like, and it's quite rare, but it's a part of a tree. It's a poetic word, a quite natural word. So if you go outside into the park, look at one of the big trees in the park, and the main branch, the big branch, that's a bough, the bough of the tree. Okay, so now we're going to look at the off pronunciation, and that is just like the word off, off the table, off the train, off. So we've got cough, which is a noun and a verb to go, that's a cough. And then we've got trough. So a trough is what animals eat and drink out of. So there's a big container on a farm, and you'll see the cows and the horses, they eat out of a trough. Okay, so now let's look at the uff pronunciation. So uff, just like stuff, uff, and it's in words like enough, rough, tough, and slough. So let's go from the top. Enough is probably a word that you've come across. You might have said something like, I've had enough. I don't want any more. I've had enough. So that's the uff sound. This word rough. Rough is a word which is the opposite of smooth. So if you put your hand across a stone or a surface and it's not smooth, it's rough. It has a second meaning, which is if someone plays violently or does something aggressively, you could say that they did something rough. Don't play so rough, you could say to a child. Okay, then you've got tough. Tough is something you might say to describe a wrestler or a karate fighter, someone who's strong and they can deal with attacks and pressure. It has a second meaning, which is to describe something that isn't soft. So you could say that some meat was tough. Something was tough to touch. It wasn't soft. Now we've got this final UGH pronunciation, which is a verb, and it's usually a phrasal verb. So to slough off, and it means to shed skin. So an animal might slough off its skin in the summer, and that means it's losing a layer of skin. Not a very nice word, but good to know how to pronounce it. The last two in the OUGH category, the OUGH group, are two place names, two places in the UK. The first one is pronounced slough. So it's not pronounced like this one. This is slough, and this is slough with the ow sound. And Slough is a place about an hour west of London, and they filmed a quite famous TV series there called The Office. You may have seen a version, the American version has become very famous as well. And the second one, this is a bit more confusing because the OUGH is pronounced differently in the first half to the second half. The first half is pronounced with an uff, so luff. But the second half is pronounced, can you guess? We've had this word before today. Yes, it's with the schwa sound. So this is with the sound, which is this symbol, the sound. So luff and But strangely, because it's English, when you put these two together, the O isn't pronounced in the middle there. So it's luff, bruh, luff, bruh. Two places that you may come across if you're in England, so good to know how to pronounce them. Now we're going to look at the AUGH. So there are two ways of pronouncing AUGH. The first is the R pronunciation, like car or far. And it's in words like laugh and draft. So laugh is ha ha ha. You've probably seen that word before. And it's the same thing for laughter. So the noun laughter. The second one is often found in American English and recently as well in British English, spelt like this. D-R-A-F-T. And a draft can mean three things. It can mean a cold wind. So if you leave the door open and the cold wind comes in, that's a draft. It's also a type of beer. So you can have a draft beer, and that's when they pull it using a lever from a barrel, a draft beer. And then if you add an S, we get drafts, and drafts is a game like chess. And you might see a squared board like this, and some of them are black and some of them are white. That's a game of drafts. So those are two words which are pronounced with the R for AUGH. And let's finally look at these three words which have the OR pronunciation. OR. So just like the OR over here, we had these OR with the OUGH, but these are spelt with the AUGH. So we've got daughter, we've got taught. Now taught is the simple past, the past participle of teach. I teach English, I taught English. And finally, caught. So caught is the past participle of to catch. So I catch, I caught. So that's it. That's 8 ways to pronounce OUGH and 2 ways to pronounce AUGH. If you have any questions, please write me a comment below and I'll get back to you. If you want to request a new video, then leave a comment below as well. If you haven't joined BlackTieEnglish on Instagram or Facebook, come and join us there as well, because I've got extra English content going on as well. And finally, click subscribe, hit the red button and join us here on YouTube. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the class and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson.